I'm Tanika Meeks. Welcome to Get Real. Please take a moment to hit the subscribe button, whether on YouTube, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music. One quick announcement, the introduction of the Get Real merchandise. For those of who are watching the videos, I have on a kind of burgundy shirt. It says, "Mentality of a Queen, Heart of a Servant." For those who are on audio, you can always go to my website, www.tmgetreal.com, to view all Get Real merchandise. Right now I have about 2 shirts I'm actually offering, but there are more to come, so stay tuned. Another quick announcement. Today is episode 26 for Get Real. It's our 6-month anniversary. So congratulations for everyone who has started this journey with me, everyone who has came in the middle, and those who might be new to Get Real. I will be doing a episode here probably shortly called A Reintroduction to Tanika Meeks, where I'll tell you about who I am. But it's a big milestone. For those who are worried, Get Real will be around for many years to come. I have a lot of content to put out. I have a lot of ideas. Get Real is not going anywhere. So I'm actually very proud. 6 months is a long time to be doing a podcast. When I first started this, I had no idea what I was doing. I still have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm doing it anyway. So there you go. So today's episode is called Be Bold, Be Empowered. And I'm going to tell you where this came from. So on Tuesday, I was actually attended a joint workshop. It was a workshop put on by Jobcast, by Indeed. And I very much want to say thank you, Indeed, for this workshop, because it was very timely, especially as far as I'm concerned. The workshop was called Beat the Bias, Racial Discrimination in the Hiring Process. So where does be bold, be encouraged, be empowered come from that? Well, for those of you who may or may not know, I actually got laid off in September of 2020 due to COVID. The company I work for, COVID pretty much impacted their business quite a bit, and so they laid off 40 employees. I was one of those 40 employees. And I've been sending out resumes, filling out applications. Pretty much since September, I've been looking for a job full time. It's a full-time job looking for a job. And that's what I basically have been doing outside of working with my podcast, Get Real, and creating my YouTube channel, Get Real. Go check it out. So I have encountered, it's been strange. The job market during COVID has been very strange. Pretty much from September to December, I didn't hear anything back. I was sending out just resumes, and just getting no response. After the first of the year, things kind of picked up, people coming back off the holiday, trying to get, people in through the door. But I've been encountering the same thing kind of repeatedly. I'll get contacted by an HR person or recruiter. You go through that initial, what they call a pre-screen or a phone screen. Should they find you qualified, then you normally move on to meet the hiring manager. If the hiring manager, if that goes good, you will normally move on to either the hiring manager's manager or someone whom they consider their senior leadership. Or, if that goes good, then you normally go through a 4th step, which is normally a peer review. And so that's been the process that I've been kind of going through these past 2 months. I've had 1, 2, 3 jobs that I've kind of gone through that process. Not necessarily in that order, but that was kind of the process, that kind of 4-step process of HR, hiring manager, someone in senior leadership, and then normally like a peer review. Now, I live in Kansas. I've said that before. I live in the Midwest. So you can about imagine that everybody I've interviewed with or everybody that I've met with in regards to finding employment have all been white. They've all been Caucasian. And that's presented its own set of challenges. It leads you to wonder whether you're not getting the job because you're not qualified or because you don't look like the people who are part of that company. So when Indeed put on, this workshop, I was very much interested in checking it out because I wanted to see if other people were experiencing the same thing I was. And it was very shocking sitting in on this workshop. Again, I will tell anybody, if you got an hour, it's on Jobcast by Indeed. Go check it out. It's called Beat the Bias, Racial Discrimination in the Hiring Process. The three panelists they had talking about this subject, I thought were actually extremely well. People who had, been discriminated against during the hiring process. These are not people who had no idea, what they were talking about. They themselves at some point in their career had been discriminated against. So I thought it was a very good workshop. And one of my biggest fears since I've been job hunting is something that I have faced kind of over and over again being here in the Midwest, and that's being that token black person. I don't want to do that again. I've been there. I've done that. It is just soul crushing, to be honest with you, being the only black face in a sea of white people. I didn't want to have to go through that experience again. And they talk about tokenism. That was one of the topics they brought up. But then another topic that they brought up, which I actually thought was really good, is about representation, and that companies need to be more cognizant of who they put in front of you. In all of these interviews, outside of the HR person, which most of those have been female, the managers, the hiring managers, and the senior leadership have been white men. I did have one where one of them the controller was a white woman who clearly did not like me, and she made that very known. Her attitude pretty much hinted at that. And it's like, okay, so y'all are parading, y'all senior leadership of this group of white people to a black female, and I'm supposed to come into your organization feeling comfortable that there would be other people who look like me. Think about that. And so, I'm sitting here on in this workshop, and I'm listening to this, and I'm like, why am I putting myself through this? Yes, I have bills to pay. I have a car note, I have rent, I have credit cards, I have bills to pay. That's why we're all out here looking for a job. We're out here looking for a job because we have bills to pay. But one thing that I took away from the workshop, and this was probably something particular to me at this stage of my life, is that you don't have to accept a job just because someone offers it to you. And that we as employees, we need to become empowered. We need to take back that power that we've given to the employer, that we're so desperate for a job that we'll go into an environment that we're not comfortable with, that we're not comfortable in. I've had peer reviews with 3 other white people who were sitting there looking at me like I was crazy, who made it very clear that they were not interested in having a black coworker. Where I've met with 6 and 7 people who's supposed to be senior leadership of the company, and not one of them was either a female or a minority. And for those who are wondering, I don't consider white women minorities. Even though they fall in that category, I have ixnayed them out of that category a long time ago. But it's like, how am I as a black woman supposed to feel represented when everybody I'm seeing is white? And I'm not talking about either other ethnicities. I'm talking about simply white. I'm not talking about Indian. I'm not talking about Asian. I'm not talking about Middle Eastern. I mean, they are simply all white. And how am I as a future employee supposed to feel about that when I'm not seeing anybody who looks like me? And that's leaving me to wonder whether I didn't get the job because I'm not qualified or because I didn't look like them. And so I'm sitting here in this workshop, and all of these thoughts are just running through my mind. And I'm like, this has got to change. Yes, I need a job. Yes, I have bills to pay. But I made up my mind literally after that workshop ended that I will no longer accept another job where I don't see another person who looks like me. That I will start to bring up diversity and inclusion. And it's not enough for you to say, well, we have female employees. No, where are your minorities? Where are other people who look like me? Now, I'm not talking about light skin. I mean, black people and brown people. But that workshop really, it empowered me. It empowered me that just because someone offers me a job and I'm in desperate need of a job, let's be real about that, that I don't just have to take the first job that comes along. And one of the panelists actually said something I thought was very powerful. We as employees need to start doing our due diligence when it comes to these companies and making sure they are a good fit for us. Not that we're just a good fit for them, but they're a good fit for us. And that a minority coming into these companies, we're going to have the opportunity to move up. That we're not just going to be that token black person that they need to fill affirmative action quotas. that we're going to have the same opportunity as everyone else that works in that company. And so I really left that workshop really feeling empowered, really feeling bold that I needed to change the way I was job searching, not just simply looking for a job, just not simply looking for someone to give me a paycheck, but looking for a place of an employment, a place I would like to stay, and a place where I will find other people who look like me, and a place that I will be content and I would like to stay for the long term. It was funny, I actually had an interview this very morning, for a position. I was interviewing with 2 white men. And one of the gentlemen asked me, and this is the second time within 2 weeks I've been asked this question. Well, on your resume, it seems like within the last few years, you've been, kind of moving around a bit. Now, the way the lady put it, she said kind of bouncing around. He said moving, she said bouncing. Now, of course, I had to think of a professional response. I couldn't tell the guy the truth. In the past about 6 years, I've had 4 jobs. I was laid off in September. I had no control over that. One of the jobs, our division was sold. I had no control over that. One of the positions, again, I was that token black person in finance, and it was made very clear to me that I would go no further than my position. So I could spend 10, 20 years in that position knowing I would never be moved up and just being content getting a paycheck, or I could leave, and I chose to leave. And then the other position I left because I felt like I was being discriminated against. Now, of course, I couldn't tell a future employer that. I couldn't tell them, well, I left because I felt like I was being racially discriminated against. Because, of course, a future employee, their eyes are going to shoot into their eyebrows, and they're not going to understand. So, of course, I had to finagle an answer. I had to give them a professional answer about why I chose to leave my past employers. I couldn't tell them that I basically felt discriminated against, because no future employer wants to hear that. But again, discrimination, sexism, age, sexual orientation, those are running rampant in most work cultures. But you can't tell a future employer that. You can't tell them you left because you felt like you were being sexually discriminated against, or you got tired of being that only black person. You got tired of employers infringing upon your life and your time that you would like to spend with your family because they want to have 5 o'clock happy hours and it's mandatory that you be there. Again, you can't say that to a future employer because they're not going to take it the right way. Well, are you not a team player? There's a difference between being a team player and you infringing upon my life and my time. I give you 8 hours of my day. Why do you need more than that? And so when the gentleman asked me about me bouncing around earlier today, I can almost tell you I know for sure I won't get that job that I interviewed for this morning, because I'm not going to say angry, but I was very offended that I had to defend why I didn't stay in toxic cultures, I had to defend why I left employers who were treating me in a way I felt was poorly. And so my answer was actually, it was professional, but it was quite aggressive. I'm not going to lie. And as I told him, my mental health will always be far more important to me than a paycheck. And I'm not going to stay in a culture. I'm not going to stay in a work culture that is tearing me down mentally and physically and tearing down my health. Because we all know a toxic culture will do just that. It not only tears you down mentally, it tears you down physically. And I made a promise to myself after that workshop that I attended on Tuesday that I would never go back into another environment where I found myself either if I'm interviewing with you and you can't show me somebody who looks like me, and actually start doing my due diligence on some of these employers, because some of these people are not worth working for, no matter how much money they offer you. And so I wanted to share that with you today. I really wanted to share that with everyone, because it's changed me. That workshop, which again, I'm more than sure they didn't intend it that way. But it rings very true for where my life is and what I've been going through the past 6 months during my job search. I wonder how many jobs I didn't get because they felt like I was unqualified, or because my face wasn't similar to everybody else that works there. But you know what? I will no longer lose sleep over those things, because what's meant for me will be mine. And my next employer will be someplace I intend to stay. And it will be a culture I want to work in. Not just me accepting a job to get a paycheck, but hopefully working for a company that I feel comfortable, that I can grow with, that I can move up in, and that I can work around those who are not only look like me, but accepting of me. So I'm Tanika Meeks. This is Get Real. New content will be posted every Saturday. Word of mouth is still the best form of advertising. So if you like the videos or the podcast, please tell another person about them. Tell them to go check it out. Again, for those who are watching the audio, please go to my website, www.tmgetreal.com, and check out the upcoming Get Real merchandise. Again, as the shirts become available, I'm designing them myself. I will put them on the website. Right now, they're not currently available for sale, but that is coming shortly. I want to kind of get a nice little collection to kind of give people a selection to choose from. Different colors, different styles with different messages. Like I said, the one I have on today says mentality of a queen, heart of a servant. And that's describing me. That's how I really feel about myself. I do have the mentality of a queen. Very an assertive, aggressive, very stern woman. But I do have the heart of a servant. Yeah, that is my love language. Acts of service is my love language. So again, I will see everybody next week. Until then, I love you guys.